The flag had already been folded. The rifle salute had echoed, sharp and hollow, over the distant hills. The wind stood still, as if holding its breath with the mourners. But when the silence came, the sacred silence where the final notes of taps should have honored the fallen, the sound never came. There was no bugle, just the sound of shoes shifting on gravel, the quiet sob of a mother clutching a frame, and a confused glance among the honor guard. They had forgotten him, forgotten the man who once stood between fire and freedom. A boy stepped forward, small, no older than 10. His suit jacket was too big. The sleeves hung past his wrists. But in his hand, he carried something unexpected, a harmonica, worn, dented, but polished with care. Every adult around him stood frozen. No one moved. Not the chaplain, not the commanding officer, not even the bugler who had simply not shown up. But the boy's steps didn't falter. Gravel crunched under his feet like the sound of breaking silence. He walked straight past the rows of uniforms and medals, toward the casket draped in stars and stripes. They whispered later that he looked like a shadow of the man inside the box. His chin, sharp and stubborn. His eyes, steady and solemn. The boy stopped at the foot of the casket. He closed his eyes, raised the harmonica to his lips, and played. The first note trembled, but it carried. High, clear, piercing the thick air like a memory refusing to fade. It wasn't perfect, but it was pure. John Callahan had served 3 tours and buried too many friends. He never asked for a ceremony, but he deserved one. The men who stood at his side in deserts and forests had called him the spine of the unit, because when everyone else broke, he didn't. He returned home with shrapnel in his shoulder and silence in his heart. He didn't talk about war. He just lived. Quiet, steady, worked nights as a mechanic, volunteered Sundays at the local shelter, bought his neighbor's groceries when her husband died. No medals on display, no flags on the porch. But every year, on Memorial Day, John would stand alone at dawn with his grandson, Liam, beside him. They'd listen to taps together, just once, then go home without a word. Liam remembered. Now, at his grandfather's final farewell, the military had shown up, but something sacred had been forgotten. Until Liam stepped forward. He played, every note slowly, carefully, as if measuring the weight of each breath against memory. The harmonica trembled in his hands, but his back never bent. By the time he reached the last long note, not a single soul moved. Not even the birds in the trees dared interrupt him. The last note faded, gently, like a soul rising. And then, silence again. But this time, it wasn't empty. It was full of awe, full of respect, full of something the ceremony had forgotten. But a boy had remembered. Honor isn't something you schedule. It's something you carry. Later, someone from the base offered a quiet apology. Another offered a formal makeup ceremony. But Liam didn't respond. He didn't need to. John's funeral didn't need another bugler. It had him. And that moment, his moment, spread further than anyone imagined. Someone had recorded it. The image of a small boy playing a harmonica beside a flag-draped casket flooded every screen it touched. Veterans saluted through tears. Strangers posted messages that read, "Real heroes raise quiet heroes." That's what respect looks like. You didn't forget. You reminded the world. 3 months later, a plaque was installed at the cemetery gate. It bore no name, no rank, just one quote. Some people play music, others play memory, and a few, without saying a word, play the truth. The harmonica, now framed in glass, sits beneath it. Visitors still stop. They ask about the boy. They ask about the soldier. But most of all, they stand in silence. Not because someone told them to, but because something inside them remembers. There are moments in life when respect is not given, it's claimed. Not with rank, not with titles, but with heart. So if this story touched you, comment below with where you're watching from and who you're remembering. Share this story so others never forget what quiet courage looks like. And if you believe in honoring the silent heroes among us, subscribe for more. Because sometimes, the smallest voice carries the loudest truth.